Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rail Kiss podcast. I'm Annabelle, your host, and this is Ollie the Octopus, my co host. And today I have a very special guest with me. I have Lara, the founder of an Instagram page that I have instantly become obsessed with as soon as I saw it. And that page is at b.a.safe.place. Be a safe place, which is an amazing, amazing page, you guys. If you haven't discovered it yet, you're definitely missing out. Go look it up right now so that you have an idea of what we're about to talk about. The topic of this episode is how do we actually keep everyone safe in the dance scene, in the dance community? Because we've talking about it, there are so many conversations going on about it. There are so many different initiatives that are being talked about and that have been implemented, but how do we actually do it? So I'm hoping that Laura is going to help me figure this out today. So no pressure though, Laura. But yeah, let's try to solve this issue in this 1 hour episode. Okay, let's do it. So, can you tell us more about what inspired this page and about you and your team? And let's start there.
Called Be a Safe Place. The project, I have been thinking about it for a while now, maybe 5 or 6 years. It mainly comes from being a victim myself of different kinds of violence and abuse from people inside the community. Just sharing my story, I realized I was not the only one. And there was a lot of shame when I tried to share my story. And I decided that I wanted to change that. And so I reached out to a few friends that I knew were also impacted by what was happening and that they wanted to take real action and start having the very uncomfortable conversations that need to be had. And so we just got together and created this organization. And we mainly aim at, well, we do create content to make people aware of what's going on. But we also have an entire team in the organization that supports victims. So we listen to them, we offer them solicited advice on the legal actions that they can take if they want to. We also try to work with event organizers. This has been the tricky part. I'm sure we will get into more details about that. And yeah, we're just trying to participate in a safer and happier dance community wherever we can.
Okay, well, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. And I'm sorry to hear that you have been a victim of violence and abuse. And it sucks that that happened to you. And sadly, yeah, you're not the only one. This has happened to a lot of people in some way, shape, or form. If we think of it as a spectrum, no, it's a pretty wide spectrum. It could be some inappropriate touching, inappropriate verbal comments to, all the way to rape and like sexual assault. So it is a wide range, and none of it is okay, none of it is acceptable, and some of it is just also illegal. So yes, thank you so much for founding the organization and taking the leap to do it and putting together a team and providing all the services that you guys are doing. And so you're based in Paris. Are you providing these services like internationally, or what is the scope of your services? Like, do you provide it to just anyone, or what is your focus? Like, who are mainly the people who you help?
So I am not based in Paris anymore. I decided to leave the community in Paris for many reasons, but one of the main reasons why was that I was getting really tired of reaching out to organizers that did not want to hear me and did not want to take action. And so I was just getting really frustrated of seeing my abusers, because there are several of them, every time I went to a social. So I am not based in Paris anymore, but our team is in the east of France and in Paris, but we do provide our services to people who want to have it. We operate both in French and in English. And so all the trainings that we provide, all the support that we offer is all meant to be accessible to everyone. We do have standards. We have had two organizers that have reached out to us to be associated with us, and we have declined simply because after consideration and a few conversations with them, we realized that it was not really aligned with what we want to create in the community. It was mainly about having or being able to display some kind of safety label, but with no real intention of taking action when something happens. So we have declined. However, we still continue to reach out to organizers that seem like they can be a good fit for us and we can be a good fit for them. So it's mostly about talking and defining how we can cooperate. And we are kind of, you know, we're hopeful that in a few months or in a few years, we'll be able to collaborate with more and more people because we know how hard it can be for organizers to take action and because there are risks. We're not denying any of that. It is a lot of work and it can be very difficult. And so we want to be able to provide them the support that they need if they're willing to put in the work, which is not very common.
And the organizers who you work with, do you work in just one particular dance scene or across all kinds of dance scenes?
Yeah, it's all dance scenes. We've started with bachata because most of us come from that community, but we've had organizers coming from Foro, from Brazilian Zouk, from Kizomba, from any type of social dancing we can support.
That is fantastic to hear. Okay, so I just want to make this clear and put it out there that you guys are available to work with organizers in order to make their events safer by doing what exactly? Can you outline what kind of services you provide to the organizers at their events?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, the main thing is training. We offer a training for them as organizers. It's mainly about reminding them of their legal rights, also their legal duties to their participants, some kind of trauma informed listening skills set that they need because most people are not really aware of that, but listening to someone is a skill. And it can be very difficult to listen to someone who's telling you about abuse or any form of violence without projecting what you would do in their situation or what you would think they should do or how you would think they should react. And so by training them how to listen properly and in a trauma informed way, we just want to make sure that victims know that there is a safe space for them to reach out to. They can actually have someone to talk to and that will not gaslight them or invalidate their experience or question their experience or anything like that. So the first thing is training. We train organizers and we also train their staff because it's not only about the organizers. There are people working at the event that might be the first person someone goes to because they don't really know who to go to if something happens. So it's a slightly different training because the staff is usually um, operating in the event, very close to participants. So yeah, it's two kinds of training.
So, I just want to clarify. So, do you train like the so-called safety teams at the events? Because I've seen several Kizomba events recently post that we have a safety team and these are the people on our safety team. And I was kind of wondering, okay, well, what kind of training do these people have?
Yeah.
So, ideally, they should be trained by someone like you.
Ideally, because well, there are several of us in our team that are professionally working as trauma informed therapists or life coaches or that they have actual knowledge of what trauma is and what it implies to listen to someone who is telling you about trauma. And so I've also seen these events displaying a safety team. The problem is, to me, is that we don't really know what safety means to them and what does it mean, the safety team? Is it someone that has been trained? Is it someone you just go to if something happens? If you go to them, what happens afterwards? What can you expect from that team? And I feel like there's this lack of transparency on what to expect from these safety teams. And I don't know who these people are. And I feel like as a victim, the more I know about the space that I'm going to reach out to, the more comfortable I'm going to feel going to that space.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I think some of them say, if anything happens, you can talk to us. I think they do say that they will listen and they will make a report. But then, yeah, you're right. There isn't a lot of transparency. What will happen? What will you do? How will you help me? What will you do with the information
Yeah.
that I give you?
And if I want to talk to you, where do we go? Is there a space that is available with much less people, or no music, or is someone going to listen to what I'm going to tell you, or are you trained to actually listen to what I have to say, or what's going to happen? That's the main question.
Yeah, you're right. Even if, is there a designated space for you to have this conversation? Because I'm thinking, where would you go at a festival? Because some of them, there isn't a whole lot of like extra
No,
quiet space.
no,
Okay,
unfortunately.
that's a great point. Okay, so aside from training the safety team and the organizers, what else? What else would you guys like to provide as a service at an event?
We do have a safety team that is trained, that are identifiable with a visible sign of being part of our organization. This is still a work in progress. As I was telling you earlier, we have had a lot of issues with trying to cooperate and work with organizers. So we do have a trained safety team. Unfortunately, because organizers are still not willing to take action and to implement a few things regarding safety, we have not been able to be fully visible. People know who we are, and they come to us if they see us at a social, only based on our willingness. We just stopped with the idea of having a report form because it wasn't working. Organizers were actually receiving the reports and reading the facts, and they knew what was happening, but they just didn't want to do anything about it. So it was very frustrating for us and the victims, of course, that they would actually gather the courage to speak up, but nothing was actually happening.
Why do you think they didn't want to do anything about it? Like, what do you think was preventing them from acting on the reports? Because if you have the reports in front of you, like that's evidence. You can't just ignore it. What do you think was going on in their minds to make them not do anything about it?
I feel like it's a number of things. First, they usually don't really know what it entails legally to be an event organizer. This is what we realized talking with them, is they don't know what their obligations are.
What are their obligations? Because I don't think I know, actually. I had no idea that organizers had legal obligations. So please tell us.
Well, I'm only going to talk about French law, but I'm sure like there are similar things happening in different countries. Under French law, if you are organizing an event, whatever the kind of event, you have a legal obligation of safety towards your participants. Safety is physical, emotional, and psychological. So you are expected to implement anything that can actually ensure your participants' safety. Taking risk into consideration is one of them. If I usually give this example, if I'm telling you there is a knife at the in one of the corners of the room, you're going to go to that corner and remove the knife because it's a danger. Same goes for people that are reported. If I'm telling you there is a risk, you should be able to take that into consideration and do something about it. Whatever it is that you do, depending on the report or what the victim actually wants, because that's important. That's something we forget. Not all victims want the abusers removed from the event. Sometimes they just need the abuser made aware that a boundary was crossed, and a simple warning is enough for them. But organizers just don't want to do anything, whether it is a warning, banning someone, they don't want to do anything.
Why?
Well, because they don't know they're expected to do so. That's the first thing. What we hear a lot is it's bad for business. Apparently, dealing with safety issues is not good for their business because it's going to create drama. People are going to talk. It's just bad press, and they don't want that. And that's something I really struggle with because I don't understand how being invested in your participant safety would be perceived as bad press. I feel like they stand on the idea that they're going to lose a client, the abuser, maybe their friends, and that's what they're afraid of. I don't think they realize they could gain clients because the victim is going to say, well, I reached out to them and they actually listened and something was done about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think it would be good for business. Who would not want to go to an event that is known to be safe, that is known to hold people accountable? So if you know if something happens to you, you know that it's going to get handled. Your safety is kept in mind and is actually cared about. And action is taken to ensure your safety. Like what? Like who doesn't want that?
That's we don't really get that. The only answer we have is it's not good for business, and they usually don't elaborate, which is telling us that it's mostly about not questioning anything. They just don't want to be uncomfortable questioning what's happening.
So they care more about money and business than people's safety and comfort.
Yes, that's what we think. Not all of them, but most of them are really concerned with business. And we get it. It's a lot of money. Renting the space, booking the artist, we get it. We get the business part. We're not denying that. We're just saying that safety can be a part of it. It's not an option. It's not an obstacle towards business. It's actually something that's supporting your business. For some reason, they have built the entire business plan on just ignoring certain things.
I really liked what you said that sometimes it's not necessary to completely remove or ban a person. If it's someone's first offense, maybe all they do need is a warning. And I think it does matter how the victim wants it handled. It's like, well, what would you like us to do about it? What would make you comfortable? And then the victim can say, like, I want the person gone. Or they could say, can someone just talk to them and can someone let them know that what they did was wrong? And then I would also like an apology.
Yeah. Yeah, the victim is should be allowed to express their needs. And I feel like we don't really listen to that. And I feel like it's easier to just pretend it's all going to go into extreme situations, and we need nuance in that. Not all experiences are the same. Not all abuse is the same. Each situation requires a specific action, and victims should be allowed to express their needs, and they deserve the right to be listened to. And that's not what we're seeing, unfortunately.
Okay, that is very unfortunate. So would you say that that is the main thing that is causing safety issues in the dance scene is just by organizers refusing to either get trained, get their staff trained, or handle the reports that come to them?
That's one part of it, according to me and to our team. I feel like
Okay, what else?
it's also about the lack of accountability and responsibility from all people in the community. What we hear a lot is people come to socials to have fun, to take their minds off of things that are going on in their daily lives, and that's completely valid. However, what we observe is that this usually it makes them quite careless with the way they use space and the way they approach social dancing. And because they think it should be fun, it should be like all responsibility should be removed. I'm not here to think too much about things. I'm just here to have fun. Yeah, but we need to remember that social dancing actually implies some kind of physical proximity. And that proximity entails you taking responsibility for that body's safety. Your own body, that's important. You're actually handling someone else's body. You should take care of that. So I feel like
Yeah, I mean, it's called social for a reason. Like, you're being social, that involves other people.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like we need to have some kind of cultural shift in the community so that people are actually more responsible in the way that they operate in those different spaces. So it's not all on organizers. We're all part of the community. We all have something to do to make it safer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so taking personal responsibility and also feeling communal responsibility for the safety of other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like before I started this project, I was still in Paris and I had been very vocal about these things for so many years. And I realized how people came to me to talk about things and they would ask me, well, what would you do? And I would always answer, well, what should all of us do? I go to a social, I'm always very intentional with I'm going to interact with people and how I'm going to use the space. If there are a lot of people dancing, I'm not going to dance the same way as if I had more space around me. Spatial awareness is also something we can all do. I'm always very aware. I have friends that are new in the community and they don't really know what's okay and what's not okay. I'm watching them. I'm paying attention. How is their face expression and is their body kind of tense in a way? And what is that saying? We can all pay attention a bit more. And I feel like it would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what preventions do you think need to be put in place to maximize safety for everyone? Because I think prevention is always better than dealing with the things after the fact. And if things are not being dealt with after the fact, then I feel like prevention is a good focus point so that it doesn't get to that.
Yeah, most of our work is targeting consent and education on consent. We feel like we need to remind us all the time, but consent is not only about yes or no. It's so much more nuanced than that. We feel like it's lacking, like in workshops or in dance schools or at events, and people are not really aware what it actually means. And again, they want it to be very black or white. Yes, they want it. No, they don't want it. But sometimes there is no verbal, like oral communication, but there's still no consent. How can we educate people in observing someone's body language? And if we don't know, if we're
Mm-hmm.
not sure, if we're feeling something that seems a bit off, we need to learn how to ask, are you okay? Do you need anything? You seem a little off. Do we need to adjust anything? Or I feel like we've lost that ability to communicate with our words in social dancing. We just pretend that all our bodies are going to communicate for us, but we do have a mouth that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think about the last few events that I went to, and actually, a few leads did ask me, hey, are you okay? Is this okay? Can we dance closer? Does this feel okay? And I appreciated that so much. I was honestly so impressed. I was like, wow, okay, you're awesome. Thank you. It felt so good to be considered and to know that they care about my comfort and safety and that they're not just stopping the dance because they think I'm not okay, but they're asking me and they're using their words, like you
yeah.
said. That was like, wow, oh my God, that's amazing.
Would you say it ruined the vibe? Because that's a comment that we get a lot. Like using your words is going to kill the vibe or it's going to ruin things or it's going to, I don't know, jeopardize all the chemistry that we built. And
I think it actually added to the vibe and added to the chemistry because afterwards, like I said, I was just impressed and it made me like them as people so much more, even though I think it was my first time dancing with both of them. So I didn't really know them, but I was like, oh my God, you are a great person. Thank you. You are so mature. You are so emotionally intelligent to do this, to ask this, to interact with me in this way. So no, it did not ruin the vibe at all. It definitely made me like them like immediately.
amazing. I'm so happy you experienced that.
Yeah, I know. I feel very fortunate to have experienced that.
Amazing. Yeah. Consent is a
Consent is so sexy. It is incredibly sexy.
I have a sweater with like on the back it says consent is sexy and mandatory and I wear a lot to socials. And I figured maybe people who think consent is going to ruin the vibe are people who haven't experienced consent at all.
Mm.
Or maybe people who don't want to bother with consent because they just want to do what they want without even considering if it's okay with the other person.
Yeah, when you ask for consent, it lets me know that, first of all, you're not assuming things. An assumption ruins so much. I don't know why people assume that they can be mind readers. None of us are mind readers. None of us can know what is going on in a person's head just by looking at them, talking to them. We don't know. We never know what someone is thinking and what they truly want.
Yeah.
So, acknowledging that and giving the person agency and autonomy to decide for themselves instead of assuming, oh, yeah, she wants this. She wants me to hold her like this. She wants me to kiss her. Did I say that? I did not say that.
Yeah. And we're not supposed to get it right or even perfectly. We're just figuring it out. And it's okay. It's okay not to know. but you do need to ask.
Yes, please ask. Always ask. I think
Always.
it's so hot and so sexy when you ask because it's like, wait, you actually want to know, you want to make sure, like you care about me. You're taking me into consideration. Like that is so attractive.
Absolutely.
Even in a platonic level, so attractive.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Our work on consent is very rooted in the idea that consent is very personal and that we should find ways to ask each and everyone their consent. What does it mean to you to consent to something? What am I consenting to? For how long?
Mm-hmm.
With who? Yeah, consent is very personal. Like I would, and sometimes personally, there are things that I do with certain dance partners that I don't do with others for a lot of reasons. And I always tell them it's nothing personal. It's just on some days I want to do this with you, and on others I don't, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. We're all allowed to change our mind and be okay with something one day. Just because we consent to it one time doesn't mean that we consent to it from here on out always. That is so, so important to keep in mind.
Yeah, and we like doing that work because we have had so many interesting conversations with people that they were not educated on consent when they started dancing, and so they're learning years after years of practice, and it's very uncomfortable for them, but they're still willing to do the work. It looks like people want a very straightforward way of thinking, and consent is this or that because apparently it makes them feel better because it gives them some kind of certainty and some kind of control over their situation. But we try to teach them that consent doesn't work that way. And if you don't have the tools to experience consent, then yeah, your presence in the scene might be a bit difficult.
So, aside from consent, what other tools of prevention do you think are important to have?
The ability to tolerate discomfort. I've been saying that since the beginning, but uncomfortable conversations are required to make the dance scene safer. Most of us are going to do things that are going to feel uncomfortable to someone, and being able to listen to their feedback is key. It's not going to be comfortable because they're going to tell us something about ourselves that we might not like, but that's the only way we can move forward is listening to feedback, as uncomfortable as it may be, and do the work.
Yeah, yeah. So, in that conversation kind of going both ways. So, being able to say the uncomfortable thing and hear the uncomfortable thing.
Yeah, which is, difficult in both situations. We're just trying to educate people on being more vocal about their boundaries and their needs and any kind of personal experience. We try to encourage them to be more vocal and to use tools to better communicate. We're not encouraging them to attack people. We're just encouraging them to talk about themselves. And we also educate people on receiving that kind of feedback. We're just trying to educate people and communicating better with words.
So maybe saying things in a non-blamey way. I know in therapy they always say use I statements and talk about it from your perspective. So instead of saying you're hurting me, like that hurts, or I feel pain when you do
Yeah.
this, or
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Always talk about yourself. Like, this doesn't feel right. And maybe offer an alternative. Like, this doesn't feel right. Do you think we could try it this way?
yeah.
Or if you receive feedback and your first reaction is to say, well, it's because you're not doing it right. Maybe you need a bit of training on how to receive feedback. But again, it's all about being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes. Okay. What other tools of prevention are there?
Mm, well, we do create a lot of content on a lot of topics. Most of our work in prevention is creating content. And so we
Mhm.
always appreciate people taking the time to tell us about topics that they wanted to they want us to discuss.
Mhm.
We love it when the community comments or share their personal experience based on what we are creating.
Yeah.
We're also, most of us are still going to socials, and that's prevention to us. Just people are now recognizing our presence.
Hmm.
So that even if we're not working with organizers, participants actually know we're here. And so it creates kind of,
Hmm.
it looks like people are actually be more intentional with the way they use the space and the way they dance when one of us is around.
It's like, oh, the teacher is
Yeah,
here. The teacher is watching.
yeah,
Let me behave and be on my best behavior.
yeah, which is weird because like we go to socialize participants. We're not there to actually do anything with the organization, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's that kind of prevention. People recognize that we're here and we are creating some kind of a safe space for them to come to us if need be. We like that.
And would you say, are you guys mostly going to bachata socials or are you going to different dance scene socials?
Well, I go to very different socials. I go to bachata, salsa, a bit of tango sometimes. Most of us are bachata, but we have people in our safety team that do foro
Yeah.
and Brazilian zouk. So yeah, we're
Hmm.
spreading. We're spreading.
Do you have any Kizomba urban kids dancers? You guys need to branch out into Kizomba. Please, please
Well,
come to Urban Kids.
yeah, we do. We have two of them, I believe, if I remember correctly, and they're based in Paris.
Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic.
I mean, we always like tell people if they want to join, just reach out. You know, we could always use people from different communities and all around the world, and if they want to be trained and they want to participate in that, they're welcome.
I personally want to join. Count me in. Seriously. Yeah, no, as soon as I discovered your page, I was like, I love this. I love this. I was liking and sharing and saving and reposting everything. I'm like, this is so good because you're talking about such important topics and you're saying it straight out, no beating around the bush, like so straightforward. I think some of my favorite posts that you made were, what would you do if someone close to you hurt someone? What if your friend was accused of something? How would you react? Or, like you yourself are also capable of causing harm to someone. And yes, that is something that we need to be hyper aware of. We're not immune from causing harm. We're not perfect. I'm sure it probably made some people uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I mean, was it intentional? Probably not, but that's besides the point. Also, like, intention and cause are two separate things. Whether or not it was intentional, like, doesn't excuse it from happening. It's like, yes, you didn't intend for it to happen, but it happened. So, yes, like, it was intentional, so maybe don't beat yourself up over it, but also take accountability and be like, I am so sorry. I did not mean to do this, but I am so sorry that I did do it. And I will be so aware to make sure that it does not happen again. It doesn't have to be so horrible to take accountability and to apologize and to, try to make things right.
but yeah, and I feel like people need to realize that personally, I am able to feel safe with people that I know have abused other people, but they're taking accountability and doing the work not to do it again. And that makes me feel safe. I'm not happy about it. I'm not encouraging it, but I'm saying seeing that person acknowledging the victim's experience and doing the work not to abuse them again. I'm like, okay, well, they are questioning it and they're questioning themselves. And that's important. We need that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think about how many dance relationships have been ruined because someone does something that makes you uncomfortable and you like write this person off. Instead of talking to them about it, you're like never dancing with this person again. And now you just ignore them. I can think of so many examples, even for me. I see people who I danced with maybe like once and now they're like acting like I don't exist. And I'm like, what did I do to them?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also maybe guilty of treating someone that way. I'll still be friendly with them, but then I don't want to dance with them anymore.
Yeah.
Instead of just having a conversation like, hey, the last time we danced, you had your hand really close to my boob and it made me super uncomfortable. If we dance again, can you be aware of your hand placement so that it doesn't happen again? Uncomfortable conversation? Sure. But hey, could maybe save a dance friendship.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it's funny you should mention that because when we first started, something very funny was expected of us. People were, for some reason, thinking that we were going to create a list of people who had abused other people and that they could come to us and ask us if a certain someone was on the list so that they would not dance with them anymore or interact with them anymore. And people were just really frustrated that we just refused. We were not going to do that. This is not how we operate. We want to have the conversations. We want to talk to these people and give them a chance to reflect and to question what happened and to acknowledge someone else's experience so that they can adjust their own experience. But I feel like the idea of just labeling someone, why would we do that? I mean, it depends on what has happened, of course, and how many times it has happened. But what about all the people that are doing the work and are trying to change that reality? I don't really get it. Like, why would we label them?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and it is such a
Yeah.
delicate topic because, like you said, it depends on what the offense was. Because, yeah, if someone makes a first time mistake, and if you talk to them about it, and if they're like, oh my gosh, oh, wow, I didn't realize I did that, or yes, I did that. I don't know. It depends how willing they are to own up to it and how sorry they are and how willing they are, like you said, to do the work and to make it right and to rehabilitate themselves. But then there are more egregious offenders who just don't care and who just keep doing it. And there are also more serious assaults, like more sexually aggressive, maybe even sexual assault. And I feel like for those people, there really does need to be a list because I don't know, if someone rapes someone once, should they be given? I don't know.
No.
I personally wouldn't want to be around
Oh,
someone
for
who
sure.
has raped
No, for
someone
sure.
or tried to rape
And
someone.
chances are it's not the first time they've done it. And it's not the last.
Yeah. Yeah. So in a way, I think there does need to be some sort of a blacklist that is shared or people can find out who these offenders are just for the purpose of them not being booked at events and just keeping them away from attendees.
Yeah. Uh, we've had reports.
What do you
We've
think?
had reports of
Yeah.
rape that we have submitted to organizers and nothing was done.
See, to me, that is just so baffling. Who the fuck are these organizers? I want these organizers' names. Forget the names of the rapists. I want the names of these organizers
Yeah.
because their names should be on the blacklist so that the attendees know who these people are who do not give a shit about their safety, so that their events should not be attended.
Yeah. It was hard for us because when we started having these conversations with organizers based on the reports and we realized they were not going to do anything about it, we started questioning it like, okay, if we keep the anger apart, we try to anyway. What is the reason? Why could they possibly be willing to ignore something like that? Usually answers are along the lines of they're friends with the abusers or the rapists. They have business arrangements with some of them. The abusers are international artists or DJs or teachers or very famous guest dancers or whatever. And it all goes back to the business issue. They're just trying to protect their business. There is a DJ that was reported multiple times for it was kind of sexual assault, like hands touching places that should not be touched, multiple times on multiple people. We reached out to the organizers and said, well, there's nothing we can do if we don't have them as a DJ. Our social is done. And that's mind blowing to us.
See, to me, that is just straight up bullshit because I don't know how it is in other dance scenes, but I know that in Urban Kids, there is absolutely no shortage of DJs. And I'm talking about big name DJs. Even big name DJs, there is no shortage. You can not hire this person and I promise you they will not be missed. No one is going to be questioning like, oh, I haven't seen so and so DJ in events in a while. What happened to them? Trust me, the way that people are is out of sight, out of mind. If they stop seeing these DJs on the lineup, won't even think twice about
Really.
it. And if they really miss their music, if they really want to listen to their music, there's SoundCloud, there's Spotify. You can still listen to their music,
Yeah.
like whatever. Other DJs will likely still play their songs and their mixes anyway.
Yeah.
So it's fine. And honestly, all these DJs are playing the same fucking shit. It's the same music. They're just mixing it in different ways. Can we just please acknowledge that and realize it? The same songs, unless they're producing these songs and have solo rights to these songs, you can listen to this music yourself. Make your own playlist of what you like and dance to it. It's not that serious. It's not that big a deal. I'm sure that all of these DJs and all of these artists, they're hired at will, unless some of them have multiple year contracts. So I hire you to DJ at my event for the next 3 years
Yeah.
or so. Sure. In that case, I could see how it can be complicated. But I feel like every organizer needs to add this clause in their contract that in case the values no longer align, this contract can be broken by either party at will. It is not hard. Legally, it is not hard to avoid these things. It is not hard to unhire someone. It shouldn't be that hard to unhire someone whose values no longer align with yours. So unless you as an organizer value sexual assault and rape, in which case I don't want to go to your event. But if you find out that like someone is accused of that, hey bro, I'm sorry, like I don't think our values align. Like I can't, I have to let you go. Like you don't even have to go in the details, like just keep it vague at that. Like, you don't really owe them anything. Like if it's truly a business relationship. Sorry, bro, it's just business. I can't have you on the lineup. Work it out. It can't be that difficult.
It should not be that difficult. Unless, as you were saying, your values actually imply that you defend sexual assault,
Are okay with
and
that.
then you're okay with that. Because people always say, no, it's not our place. We're just going to stay silent. But silence is not being neutral. If you're not saying anything, you're just enabling things to happen at your event, and they tend to think that.
Yeah.
So if you've been made aware that your DJ is behaving in a very inappropriate way, and you still book that DJ, then you're okay with him not behaving appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can either be on the side of the artist or you can be on the side of your attendees. It's like, who do you care about more? The attendees, they actually fund your event. They're the ones who give you money. This artist, I mean, you pay them.
You lose money.
Exactly. So it shouldn't be that
We
difficult.
we've actually
Like, do I want to make money? Do I want to lose money?
we encouraged a few victims that came to us to actually engage in legal pursuit towards organizers because they were made aware of all of that was happening and they still decided not to do anything. And so we had conversations with different people in the legal field and they told us, well, why wouldn't they not go for the organizers? If it's their legal duty to ensure people's safety, then they're committing an offense by not respecting that. So they could go to court. And that's what happened. We had a social that actually closed because of that.
Good.
Yeah. And then
Good riddance.
it's
Yeah.
hard. I mean, we get it. As a victim, you have to speak up, you have to hold your ground, and the whole process of it is very humiliating.
Yeah, like you said, there is a lot of shame. There's also a lot of self-blame. It's like, did I do something to cause
Yeah.
this? And it's like, no, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's hard. And that's what we try to bring them. It's just a sense of peace and comfort in the sense that it was not your fault. It was not, but it's hard.
Okay, so how do we prevent retaliation? Have you ever had instances of the people who have been accused retaliating against the victim? And some people always are scared about defamation suits, and that's something that people always say. That's the threat. It's like I'm gonna sue for defamation, and that's what keeps a lot of people silent. So how do we address those two things?
Retaliation is it's very tricky because I feel like personally my abuser has retaliated on me and on other people in the community. And I know it happened. The thing is, because organizers are so unwilling to take action, the only thing we can do as victims is remove ourselves from the equation. And that's infuriating. That's very unfair. And that's what I decided to do when I left the Paris community because I was just tired of seeing my abuser at all the socials I went to. I did not want that anymore. And the organizers, they knew because we talked about it. Oh, but that's how they operate. That's how they are. And that's who they are. And yeah, well, what are you going to do about it? It's a risk. There is a risk for other people. There is a risk of retaliation. So, unfortunately, as of today, we have not found a conclusive way of preventing that from happening. We're still working on that. We have reached out to a lot of people in the legal field to help us try to come up with different actions. So it's still a work in process. As far as defamation is concerned, it's also a big risk. And as you said, it's the main threat that we hear from abusers. The problem is, I feel like, I don't know in what it's like in other countries, but in France, the justice system is not built for victims. It's built for abusers, which means that when a victim actually goes to court, most cases are actually dismissed. And so there's this entire system that prevents victims from speaking up by them knowing that the justice system is not going to do anything about it. And it's reinforced by abusers saying, I'm going to sue you for defamation.
But have there actually been any successful cases of artists or dancers suing other dancers for defamation? Because I have not personally heard of any successful attempts to do that. And I've been threatened after I called an artist out in the US and he threatened to sue me and some other people for defamation. Mm-hmm. And it didn't end up happening. Nothing's ever come out of that.
Yeah, it's the same here.
So
we have had a lot of threats, but nothing has ever actually happened.
Because I'm thinking that it would take a lot of, money, effort, time, proof. So I don't know if they're actually going to go through with it.
And I feel like using the word defamation, it's actually a way to make sure that the victims keeps on questioning their experience and blaming themselves. Like, did it really happen? Did I do something wrong? Was it my fault? Because when you use the word defamation, you imply that something is not true, which is something that the victim is already questioning. Like, did that really happen? Was that really rape? Was that really assault? Was my...
Yeah, they're being gaslighted.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's some kind of this guilt inversion that, in our opinion, it just participates in this general feeling of something is wrong with me as a victim, when in fact, something is wrong with the system and with the abuser.
Yes, exactly. So, ladies, do not let this empty threat prevent you from going after your abuser, because that's all it is. It's just an empty threat. It's just a bark. It's a loud bark.
They're good at barking.
That is really void of any bite.
Yeah. And if, you need any kind of support or legal advice, there are like organizations like ours that exist and that can actually provide support. And even it's just like a safe space to talk. If you need someone to look at it from an outside perspective and just validate your experience, no one should have to validate your experience. But as a victim, we tend to gaslight ourselves. Sometimes it's good to have someone from the outside with no emotional ties to it just tell you point blank facts. This is assault. This is rape. This is the law is very clear. This is the article. What you went through is this. If you wish to do so, you have legal actions that are available to you.
Absolutely. I am so, so grateful that you exist, that your organization exists, that you guys are doing this, because it is so, so needed. And I'm sure a lot of people don't know about you. I am baffled how so many people don't even know that you guys exist. That is insane. I want to shout it from literally like the rooftops, is that this is available and that you guys exist. That is such important work. And hopefully it will give a lot of people courage and tools and, just confidence to proceed and advocate for their own safety and for other people's safety, knowing that there's people like you who can support them and back them up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes that's all you need to know, that there's someone you can go to who has, like you said, the legal knowledge about this, because that has been so questionable. And that's what really prevents people from doing anything, because they don't know their legal rights.
And you don't have to do anything after you gain the knowledge. You're under no obligation to go to court. We're here to provide a safe space to talk. We're here to help you name your experience, what it was, and then it's your decision. No one should have to make that decision for you. And it's okay not to know. It's okay if you can't really name what happened. You should be able to name it, because when you can name it, you can prevent it from happening. That's what we're trying to tell people with our organization. You can't heal the invisible.
Yeah.
We need to name things. We need to call them what they are. Assault is assault.
Yeah, harassment is harassment. Unwanted touch is unwanted touch. Yeah, label these things, give them names, because that makes it clear. And then when something is clear, you know how to better address
Oh,
it.
yeah. And a boundary that is clear to you doesn't have to be invalidated because someone else's is okay with that. If you're not okay with
Mm-hmm.
being touched
Exactly.
somewhere or being held in a certain way, that's on you. It's your body. You should be able to acknowledge that this is not okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't matter if you're a lead, if you just dance with someone who was comfortable with all sorts of close touching, if the next person you dance with doesn't want that, there's nothing wrong with them for not wanting that. That is their boundary. Like, all boundaries are different. Like please respect individual people's boundaries. And you don't know, go in full circle. You don't know unless you ask for consent.
100%. Please ask.
Okay, some other questions that I have for you is what are some safety misconceptions that dancers have?
Ooh,
And also what doesn't work when it comes to safety?
these are good ones. The first one
Hmm.
that comes to mind is the first misconception is that abusers have a type. Like they're always going to go for the same kind of person, or even that abusers are a type. Like they look a certain way, they dance a certain way, they operate in certain areas of the event, or no, that's just not how it happens. We are all potentially abusers, and that's hard to hear, but we're all capable of harming someone without realizing it, or so everyone is a potential abuser. So that's a hard one, but yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I abused some. I remember I was drinking too much like a few years ago, and I was not very careful with the physical proximity, and that was not okay. That was definitely not okay. And that person actually gave me feedback, and I was mortified, of course, and I apologized, and I did the work. And so abusers are not a specific type of person, and they don't necessarily go for a certain type of person. We're all potential abusers and victims.
Yeah.
You asked me about misconceptions, right?
Yes. And then also, like, what doesn't work when it comes to safety?
Another misconception is when an event organizer displays signs of awareness or safety, that it's enough. Words without action
Yeah.
is abuse. And so I feel like people need to be reminded that there needs to be action following the words. If you say you're really invested in your participants' safety, do it. Show it with action. We talked about this earlier, but there's this misconception that asking for consent is going to ruin the vibe. No, it's gonna make it even better. I feel like also along those lines that people tend to say that, it's just dance. There is this misconception that social dancing, it comes without responsibility. We talked about this as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You can't do whatever you want on the dance floor and
No,
then call it just
no, no, no,
dance.
no, of course. And maybe I have a report that comes to mind, and the abuser actually rejected all of it. He was just gaslighting the victim. There's this big misconception that um, if the like what happened was really that serious, the victim would report it. Let me explain. What I mean by that is reporting someone or reporting an event is it costs a lot emotionally. It's very risky, and oftentimes it leads to disappointment or even backlash. So
Yeah,
victims
absolutely.
actually stay silent, not because it was not serious or not because they feel guilty or not because they're confused. They stay silent because they don't have a safe space to actually speak up. That's a big misconception. People tend to think, oh, it was not that serious. They didn't talk about it. You asked me about what doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Naming people without consequences, it just doesn't protect anyone. Policies without enforcement does not change behavior. Saying we listen
Yeah.
without following through, well, I feel like it really deepens mistrust. Reducing safety to communication or having a code of conduct displayed at the entrance without actually engaging in any form of action afterwards if the code of conduct is not respected. that doesn't work.
It is becoming more and more popular now in the Kizomba scene to have a code of conduct posted on the social media, like, hey, we have a safety team, these people are a safety team. But it always does kind of gives me pause and makes me question, like, okay, yes, this is nice to know, but is it just for show or is it for real?
It's hard to tell the truth because I remember we had a conversation with an organizer in Paris, and it was one of the toughest conversations that we had. And we were telling them, well, maybe display some kind of report form that people would access and be able to tell you what they've been through. But also just be very transparent of how it works. What's the process? Who are they actually talking to
Mm-hmm.
when they use that form? What is going to happen? Who reads it? Why are they
Yeah.
able to read it? Is it because they're trained, or is it because they are in some kind of position of power? What is going
Mm-hmm.
on with that report form? And they said, oh, it's a good idea, but we don't know. And so we offered our own report form, and they declined.
Mm-hmm.
And then they released their own report form about 2 weeks later. To this day, we still don't know who reads the reports and what is done with them. That's just very unsafe. It doesn't work.
Yeah, you're right. Because, like, you're displaying these things in hopes that you're not going to have to use them. But, like, what happens when you do have to use them? Because, like, I was at an event and, like, I was talking to a member of a safety team. And he's like, yeah, I'm a member of a safety team, but, like, I haven't had to do anything. It's chill. Like, we're just here. No one's come to talk to us. And I'm like, okay, well, that's as good, I guess, that no one's felt the need to come talk to you, but maybe they're not coming to talk to you because they're not sure what's going to happen when they come talk to you. They're like, well, I don't know what's going to happen if I talk to them. I don't know what the protocol is. I don't know how they're going to handle it. That could be a reason. So I'm afraid that a lot of this stuff is done just for show. I'm sorry, organizers. I love that you're trying, but also we're going to need more. This is a great show of some effort, but it's not enough. You're moving in the right direction. That is amazing. Thank you for moving in the right direction, but there's more that needs to happen.
For sure. And if you need help, just go get the help. It's available.
Yeah.
It's definitely available. Don't pretend it's not. We're here. And other people like us are here.
Yeah,
So we're out there. Just reach out.
absolutely. If some of these codes of conduct, the way that they're worded, it's like Chat GPT
Yeah.
wrote this.
What would what would make people feel safe?
Exactly. Did you have ChatGPT write your code of conduct? Come on now, be
Yeah,
honest.
it's all very standardized, which I mean, I understand that because safety is a common feeling, but I feel like it should be adapted to all events. Safety is not going to look the same in bachata than it's going to look in urban kids or Brazilian zouk or whatever. I feel like they should be very intentional with their code of conduct.
Absolutely. And also, there should be certain clauses in the contract with the artists saying artists are not allowed to engage in sexual behavior with the attendees during this event. If you want to fuck them after, like, whatever, that's fine. Do it off the clock. Do it outside the event if you really must. But at least during the event, for your own safety, there should be a clause, especially those all in one festivals where the hotel rooms are literally an elevator ride away from the dance floor. And it's so easy. And I mean, attendees do it all the time. Shit, I've done it. It happens, whatever. That's fine. Between consenting adults where there's like no imbalance of power, that's fine. There is an imbalance of power between artists and attendees.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just not
Because
appropriate.
there are so many other
Don't do
dynamics at play, like teacher, student, DJ, dancers,
it. Mm-hmm.
artists versus guests, leaders versus followers. Like it's all so tricky. And I feel like people don't realize how much it just influences our interactions so much. Because I remember when
It
I started
does.
dancing, I was just in awe. I was in admiration of all the teachers that I would take classes with. I was like, oh my God, they're so good. And I want to dance with them so bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you put them on a pedestal, you idolize them, you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to get close to
Yeah.
them. And then when they give you that attention, you'll start like fawning over them. It's people pleasing. Like, I just want to please them. I want to do whatever to make you like
Yeah.
me.
And I want to get that validation so bad.
It's prime environment for prime container for abuse.
Absolutely. Unfortunately.
So yes, please have that clause in your contract that doesn't allow artists to sexually engage with the attendees throughout the course of the event.
And if it did happen, then what would be the consequences?
You're not going to get hired at this event anymore. Like, sorry, bro.
Can you imagine like an artist actually has sex with an attendee outside the event and there is an accusation of sexual assault? I'm sure most artists would be like, no, but you told me it was outside the event, so it's okay. And the organizer will be like, oh,
Yeah.
right, it did happen outside my events. Not my monkey, not my circus, or the other way around. I can never remember.
Well, that's the thing. We can't control what happens all the time because people will keep in touch. People keep talking to each other outside the event. I've experienced it myself personally where like an artist DMs you. What, are you not going to respond? So when you're a young, stupid dancer who doesn't know any better, but then, like you said, if that assault happens outside of the festival, well, it's still assault. It's still illegal. It doesn't matter when it happens. The organizer is not responsible for it. So good for you for not having it happen on your watch during your event. You're off the hook in that sense. But then it becomes a moral issue. Are you still going to hire this rapist? Yeah. So, it's still a problem.
Still.
Okay. Well, this conversation is amazing. I have a couple of more questions, and then I have a question from like my listeners. Um, Okay, what do you wish everyone knew about addressing safety concerns in dance? So if you could give like some safety tips to everyone, like in general, what would they be?
First one is directly linked to what we just said. Presuming someone is innocent is actually a legal principle. We don't have access to it as civilians. As civilians, we may not presume someone is innocent. That is up like to a judge or a lawyer or whatever. We cannot do that because organizers usually use that excuse. But we're just presuming
Innocent until proven
yes.
guilty.
This is a legal principle. We don't have access to that. We can't do it. You can't presume someone.
I like that.
You can't do it.
Yeah, also like demanding proof is how we silence victims. And men love to say it. They're like, oh yeah, I'm all for that. Just, make sure you have all the proof. Sometimes there is no proof. Sometimes it is literally your word against theirs.
Well, there is proof. There is the emotional and psychological damage. That's proof.
But how do you prove that? Yes, you're emotionally distraught, but you shouldn't have to re-traumatize yourself over and over just so other people could see how emotionally distraught you are.
And who do we have to prove that to? That's the problem. Because organizers are not the people we should prove that to. They're in no position to actually demand proof whatsoever.
Because you're not a legal authority.
They're not a legal authority. They're not in a position to determine if what the victim is saying is true or false. They're not in any position to demand any kind of proof. They're just in a position where they are expected to ensure people's safety. If I'm telling you there is the risk of tsunami, whatever, and you choose to stay on the beach, you're choosing to expose yourself to danger. It's your choice. So just so you know, you're exposing yourself to danger. It may happen, it may not. But if it does happen, then it's on you.
I really love that perspective. Instead of thinking of it as I am punishing someone by no longer hiring them, you are ensuring the safety of your attendees by no longer hiring them. It's not about punishing the offender, it's about protecting your attendees.
Yes, it's always about them. The safety issue is about the attendees. It's about no one else. You're not accusing anyone. If you're telling me I was bitten by a dog, my response is going to be, oh my God, that must have been so painful. Do you want to come to my house? Maybe you're not comfortable in the street. At no point did I mention the dog, correct? I did not accuse the dog. I was just focusing on your experience and your pain because that's what matters. The dog is not a so there's a risk. So I'm just trying to protect you. Come inside. Same goes for organizers. Please take the risk into consideration. It's not about accusing. It's not about blaming. It's not about pointing fingers. It's not a witch hunt. It's just about acknowledging and validating people's experiences. Victims need to be heard. That's it. You may not even believe what they're telling you, but that's not important. We need to protect people who are at your event. It's as simple as that.
I saw that post you made about the person being bitten by a dog, and it's like, I'm just going to keep them away from the
Yeah.
dog
Yeah.
because that's what's going to make them safe, is just to keep them away from the dog.
Well,
Yeah, that makes so much
it
sense.
makes them feel safe because, they have a day to find the danger is coming from the dog, and it feels dangerous to them. Maybe it doesn't feel dangerous to me.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I like dogs.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
person is afraid of dogs, so I'm going to take that into consideration. And because I care, I'm going to do something about it.
I really love that analogy because it's like, well, the dog didn't bite me, or the dog didn't bite these other people.
No comment. No comment. And yeah, I think we had a
Yeah,
post
that
on
is a
that
really good
very
analogy.
recently, or it's coming. Spoiler alert, about saying, well, they were nice to me, or nothing happened with me. Please, guys, you need to nuance reality. Your experience should not invalidate someone else's. A human being is
Mm-hmm.
capable of so many things, and that's the problem we have with abusers. Abusers are not necessarily mean people. They can be as nice and welcoming and outgoing, and they can be all of these things and still abuse people. Of course, it would be easier if abusers were mean and physically violent, and it would be easier to recognize them. But that's the issue we have. We can't recognize them. We can't. So
Yeah.
that's what I wish also people knew about addressing safety concerns, is that you can't invalidate someone else's experience and justify it with your own. That's not okay.
Yes.
We need to
Yes.
stop doing that. We
Absolutely.
need to stop doing that. Yeah. People need to know that you don't need to be a judge. You don't need to be anyone in particular to take action or to take responsibility. It's not all on the organizers. We're all part of the community. We all have something to do. We all have a role to play. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
people need to remember that it's a community. So we need to think about joint actions.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep hearing this issue. A few people have DM'd me about this concern. How should someone handle going back to the dance scene after they experience harassment by an organizer or a well-connected
Mm.
individual? So it's not related to sexual harassment, more related to like manipulation, stalking, and emotional abuse. So yeah, not all abuse is sexual. It can be definitely, emotional manipulation is a big thing. Stalking is just scary.
Yeah.
Like, how do you handle going back to the dance scene? So, again, like people in positions of power.
First thing is make sure you are able to go back, like emotionally. And it sucks.
So, heal.
And I wish there was something like I had something like a solution. I don't. But if you feel like you had to leave the scene for a while because you were harassed or bullied or whatever, if you're willing to go back, make sure that you are able to do so emotionally and psychologically, because it's a lot. People talk a lot. And so it takes a lot to be able to go back and be observed. And people are going to have their opinion. And unfortunately, sometimes they're going to make you the abuser when you're the victim. Are you ready to face that? Do you have a support system that can help you go through that when you go back? Yeah. I would also suggest probably looking into legal action if it's available.
Because stalking is a
It
crime.
is. It is definitely. Yeah, it's hard. It's a very difficult situation.
I would add that make sure that you have your safe space on the dance floor. So if you do go back, make sure that you are surrounded by your support system. So make sure that you have a support system wherever you are. So if you decide to go to a social, make sure that you will be surrounded by your friends and by your support system at that social who will be with you physically, who are, willing to, leave with you if you're overwhelmed emotionally and can't handle being there, who are willing to be like a barrier between you and that person, should that person happen to be there. I would also say like it's totally okay to like avoid that person who has like by all means like do not put yourself in the same close proximity to them. I mean, if you go to a really big event and there's going to be a lot of people there and you know that they're going to be there, okay, you might not run into them that often, but if you're going to a small intimate event like a house party and you know that they're going to be there, do not do that to yourself. You do not need to be
No,
there.
yeah. Learn to deal with the FOMO of it all. Like, and it sucks again. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
makes me really angry to listen to these kind of stories because I know it's always the victim that has to pay the price, either by removing themselves from the equation, not going to socials, not going to events. They end up being punished for something that they didn't do. And the abuser always stays in the scene. Oftentimes, they benefit from being in a position of power and nothing happens to them. If not, they actually are even more appreciated. Like, there's one situation that comes to mind. Someone reported someone else, and the victim was actually banned from social events because apparently they were accused of causing scenes because they were having panic attacks and it was really difficult for them. The person who is an artist was actually publicly defended by organizers and booked even more because it was hard for them being in the same space as their victim. It must have been so hard. That's sarcasm, but yeah. So it's hard. It's an entire system that we need to challenge and question and dismantle. But until then, as you said, make sure you're able to go back and feel safe in your own body. Seek help if you need to seek help. Like, there are a lot of trauma informed specialists and therapists that can help you regulate your nervous system, feel safe in the presence of danger, and have a really strong support system because you need it.
And there may come a time where you are healed enough to a point where you are able to take back your power and be in the same space and stand tall and proud, and it no longer bothers you because you no longer see yourself as a victim and you're able to face your abuser. But you don't have to rush to get to that place. It takes time and a lot of healing and a lot of support.
And we all have our different timelines. Like, my healing journey is going to be different from yours, and maybe it's going to take me a year, maybe it's going to take you 5, and that's fine. We all have different stories and different backgrounds and different support systems. Never judge yourself from the time that it takes to heal from what you've been through.
Yeah, do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. And I wish there was something that we could do to keep the abusers accountable. Your friends and people who know you and who believe you, they will know the truth and they will act accordingly. And, if you're able to publicly call out your abuser, that's an option. Some people have done that. They have been met with public support.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like not always, unfortunately, but for the most part, really, women do support each other and they do stand up for each other. Sadly, not all women, but and we definitely need to do a much better job of believing each other and supporting each other,
Yeah.
having each other's back, and not being friends with other people's abusers. I feel like that's such a big thing in the dance scene because you're like, oh, but they're such a good dancer, and oh, I still want to dance with them. Girl, it's not worth it. There are other good dancers. Like, go dance with other good dancers.
Yeah.
Like, this is just one person. You don't need to dance with them. It's fine.
But I feel like it's part of the system, having us women being against each other. Like, they do certainly benefit from that, unfortunately. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
a tough one.
unfortunately. But yes, just let's have some sisterhood loyalty.
Yes, please. We love that.
Please.
Just like human
Yes.
loyalty. Like, I would want to be acknowledged as someone people could come talk to, and I want to be able to go talk to people about things, and that's what we need, being able to share our experiences, whatever the experience.
Absolutely. I feel like we should wrap this up.
2 hours. It
Yeah,
was so interesting,
I
though.
know. I know. And we could talk about this for many more hours because I feel like it's an endless conversation with so much nuance and so much to talk about and to discuss. Listeners, let us know what you think. If you have any questions, if there are any other safety topics you want me to address, and I'll include the link to Be a Safe Place in the show notes. You guys, please go check it out. You know, it's there, it's available, it's easy to access. Just send them a DM like I did. And yeah, they'll get back to you.
Yes.
Okay, well, Laura, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, for having this conversation, for being so open and honest and vulnerable, even about your own experience. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for this space.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks. Bye.